So this is March. I do those things. Then I go to a naturopath doctor. And that was a very interesting experience as well. I went in, they start to examine. And then the doctor asked my mom and the nurse to leave. And they had done all the examining already. And I just, sat up. He said he wanted to talk to me. And, I had prayed before I got in and like, Lord, let it just be the Holy Spirit that speaks. Because I know that there can be there's a lot of different beliefs about weird stuff that can happen
Sure. Yeah,
there.
some like new age stuff can get mixed
Exactly.
into.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just prayed, said, Lord, let it just be the Holy Spirit. Anything he says, like, I just pray for that. So as he asked him to leave, I sit up and he goes, he said that every pain point in my body was active, which normally someone with extreme pain has 2 or 3 pain points active. And he said every single one of mine was active. So
What's a pain point?
that's a great question. I don't know. That I'd have to actually go back to my journal to look at the exact verbiage, but it was these like, I don't know. We have to look it up, I guess. There are pain points. Nerve system. I don't even know. I don't know. I'll have to
But
look it up.
in a normal
When you're in pain
scenario, when you're in pain, there's only like 2 or 3 of them
that are active at a time.
Okay.
And so there were just tons all throughout my body that were active.
Wow.
But then he said, I look at you and I see a picture. So I'm like, okay, this is again kind of like the guy on the airplane, the flight attendant. They're just seeing pictures when they see me. But he said, I see a picture. You're in a car and your foot's all the way on the gas. And this is forcing you to take your foot off the gas. I'm like, this guy doesn't know me at all. Right. Yeah. Well, I had never met him before. It's just one time in this naturopath. And I'm like,
he didn't know you were a missionary. He didn't know your personality.
Nothing. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's funny. He said, this is forcing you to, take your foot off the pedal. And he said, I see this is a journey and it has an end. You just have to go through the process. So the same thing. And I'm like, okay, wow, Holy Spirit, you're speaking to me. And then he says, I could prescribe you something, but it's not going to work unless your God lets it work.
Whoa.
And I was just like, okay.
That's crazy.
He's like, so if you want to take it, I'll write you down what I think might help, but it's not going to work unless your God lets it work.
Whoa.
So it's just like, okay. So I didn't take it. I'm not going to pay extra money. I felt like that was like even him saying it's probably not going to work. So I just left it, and said, no, I'm good. Left kind of somewhat encouraged in the fact that he said it's a journey, same type of language that the flight attendant
There's an end
used.
to it.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to get healed. That's March. Then April comes and the pain's just getting worse. I'm still in New Hampshire. I end up thinking like, okay, I'm in New Hampshire. Why am I here? The Lord told me to be in New York. He knew I was going to be in this situation, but he told me to be in New York, January to like September or August. So why am I here? So I call the team again and they're all like, yes, we agree. We'll have you back. They knew that I could do nothing for the ministry. They knew that I would like literally just be in a bed, but that's how awesome they are. And they just were saying, you want to be obedient to God, come. So one of their staff came, drove to New Hampshire from New York, picked me up. I laid out in the back of the car and they drove me back to New York. And I was back in New York. Yeah. April, May. It was just horrible. And I got my sister contacted a doctor in India who had worked with this disease for decades. I think it was 20 to 30 years. He had been working with it. And she sent him my like blood test results and some of the paperwork I had gotten from the doctor.
Yep.
And he wrote back and he said, what I've learned from this disease and the sickness in the 30 years I've worked with it is that in 97% of the people that contract it in that normal way where they'll have it for a year in their system. Well, they'll have it lifelong in their system, but for a year they could have relapses. After a year, they're immune. But there's 3% of people in his study that had it lifelong, 3 to 5 years up to lifetime, he said. And he said, from looking at what you've sent me, it seems like your sister is in the 3 to 5 years to lifetime category, the 3%. And I'm like, so my sister sends this to me and I'm like,
that's not very encouraging.
Yeah. What? I'm in 3% of people that it reacts differently in your bloodstream and multiplies more or whatever he described. And I'm going to be like this for 3 to 5 years to to the rest of my life. There's no way. So, but again, I'm just getting information. I don't know what else to do. Right. I'm back in New York. I'm just like, Lord, what are we doing here? What's happening? People are praying for me nonstop. Groups are praying for me. People have laid hands on me to pray for me, and I'm just not getting healed.
Right.
Like I had been to so many prayer meetings and had so many people pray for me. So my faith was really wavering at that point and
Wow.
questioning, is God healer? Like, does he heal or does he just pick and choose like who
Right.
he wants to heal? It was a really tough time. So then, yeah, April, May, June, July, it's all horrendous pain. And I'm just in this battle of faith. Someone had said to me, you remind me of Amy Carmichael. And I'm like, I didn't know who she was. I had heard the name, but I didn't remember her story. Strikingly enough, she was in India. She was a missionary in India. And so I was like, I wonder if she had chikungunya. I
Yeah.
don't know. Because she got something. She got a sickness while she was there that left her bedridden and in excruciating pain. But it lasted for her the last 20 years of her life.
Oh, good Lord. That's not encouraging at all.
Yeah, not at all. And so I was just like, I remember I was actually in New Hampshire when they said that. And I remember laying on the bed and I was weeping before the Lord. And I said, Lord, I don't have faith to be like Amy Carmichael. I cannot spend the next 20 years of my life on a bed in pain. Like my life has no value. I can't serve anyone. I can't do anything because, again, like we had been talking about, my whole life, my whole adult life had been given to missions, working with poor, homeless, women who prostitute themselves, street children at the orphanage from morning to evening, like just
High impact.
yes, I wanted to just give my whole life, every ounce, every moment. And now I can't do anything. And I'm having to be carried to the bathroom. I'm having to be like someone help feed me sometimes because my limbs were in so much pain. And I'm like, God, there's no purpose to me living anymore. Like, what value do I have laying on a bed? I can't do anything for anyone. And I'm just becoming an inconvenience to people. And I remember so specifically, I'm feeling myself tear up, which is interesting because it's been 10 years. But I remember I'm laying there and I'm just weeping before the Lord. I'm asking him to take my life. And I hear him say to me so clearly, Wesley, what you do does not make you important. Who you are makes what you do important. And this was like
Wow.
a marking, life-changing moment for me. It changed my life forever because he was pinpointing something in me where I felt my value and worth came from what I could produce. It was 100% tied together. And I couldn't do anything. Every ability that I had was completely stripped from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't even minister to people laying on a bed because I was in excruciating pain all the time.
Yeah.
I had zero capacity for anything. And I just wept because the Lord was saying, that doesn't make you important. What you do doesn't make you important. Who you are makes what you do important. So if you're laying on this bed, you're my child. You have intrinsic value that will never be taken away from you. So even if you lay on this bed for the rest of your life, you are the most valuable, priceless. Nothing changes about the way I view you. And I was washed by the love of God. And it didn't change all my mindsets right away, but there was a paradigm that began to shift. Yeah, that I realized my worth had come so much from what I did and what I produced, who I impacted, etc. And I began to realize, my gosh, that does not matter to him. Like I have value just because of who I am,
Just who you are. Yeah.
because I'm his child.
Wow.
So it was a huge shift. And that was something then I began to process along with, does God heal everybody?
Right.
Is he going to heal me? Does he want to
Big
heal
question.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
Yep.
really wrestled with that. And I got to a place end of July, mid-July, end of July, where I was reading Hebrews 11, seeing, many of us are familiar with that
The faith
passage.
chapter. How many
Exactly.
times did you read the faith chapter?
I know, so many. But I realized and I'd seen this before, but something new hit me for my situation where, each of those people in Hebrews 11, it said they were counted for their faith, even though none of them received the promise in their lifetime. And I began to ponder that, like, well, that is faith, like where I believe God is who he says he is. not what my circumstance says about him. That was a really huge shift for me where it was like, okay, then what does the Bible say about who God is? I can't let my experience define him. The Bible has to define him. He gets to define who he is. And when I went to the Bible, all I saw over and over and over again was Jehovah Rapha, God, your healer, God, my healer. I saw him healing, and I bore all your sicknesses and diseases on the salvation sozo, the Greek word sozo, saved, healed, delivered. Just
Right.
over and over again, him declaring who he is to us and through what his son purchased also for us. And so I made a decision, I'm going to believe that God is who he says he is. I don't care what it looks like physically. I'm going to believe it. I'm going to say yes to that.
What's up, everyone? Thank you for watching this video clip. If you liked it, check out more videos on our channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, get alerts for when we post new stuff, and we hope you stick around. God bless you guys.